Let's welcome her to the program, Shawanna White. Hello, Shawanna. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Same here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. So before we talk about your introduction to track and field and being involved in running, every story has a beginning. And you grew up in one of the world's great cities. You grew up in a city that's known for having a black culture and being a part of black history. That's the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. What was your upbringing like in Atlanta?
It was great. I mean, I was raised by my grandmother. We had traditional holidays, celebrate holidays. My grandparents were really mostly focusing me going to school and focusing on my books, as they would say. As a kid, I was pretty active. I was always outside playing, to the point where I didn't want to go inside. I had to actually literally just be hauled inside the house because I just wanted to stay outside all the time.
Okay, well, let's just kind of stay with your upbringing in Atlanta for a moment. So you mentioned that you were a very active child growing up, and you also were, again, your grandparents gave you the foundation in terms of making sure you stayed in tune with your education. I wanted to ask you, what was your introduction like to track and field? Was it through the school system in Atlanta, or was it through Parks and Recreation, or was it a friend or a family member that got you involved in track and field?
Yes, actually it was two different occasions in the school system. One time when I was in middle school, my PE teacher, he asked me to run track because, we have field day, and I was winning most of the running races. And so he invited me to run track. I asked my grandmother. She said no. And I was like, okay, that was the end of that story. And then fast forward, when I was in high school in 10th grade, my high school coach, he approached me and asked me the same question. And, I remember my grandmother's response from middle school, and I simply told him that, if you want me to run, you're going to have to ask her yourself, because the last time I asked her about track, she said no. So, he went ahead and asked my grandmother, and she agreed for me to be able to run track as long as he brought me home, because she didn't want me to ride the model after school. I don't know, it's kind of weird because she let me ride the model on the weekends, but for some strange reason, she wanted to make sure I came straight home after track practice. So he went with her terms, and he dropped me off from every track practice. So, yeah, my high school coach.
All right, awesome. So definitely your high school coach, he saw something in you. Actually, before, someone saw something in you with the field days being in middle school, and your grandmother said no the first time around, but second time around, everything worked out for you with the high school coach noticing your talent. And, let's continue to just talk about with your track career during your time in high school. Did you win any city meets or win any state championships during your time in high school?
Well, in high school, I went to Atlanta Public Schools, so we had the city championships, which was the APS. I had won the 1600 and 3200 and the 800 in those. And then in region, in order to qualify for state, they take the top two. So I was second in the 800. I don't remember the years. It was a long time ago, but 2 years I was second in the 800, and I made the state. The first time I made the state in the 800, I didn't make it out the prelim, and I was like, oh. And then my senior year, I made it out in the 800 again, and then I was able to place fifth in the state for AAA in Georgia. Yeah.
Okay, and then so let's transition now from high school to college. I'm looking at a bio here, some information on you, and that you ran collegiately at West Georgia University, where you not only were you on the track team, but you were also on the cross-country team as well. What was that experience like running collegiately?
Yeah, it was really a fun experience. Like, I remember when I decided to go to the University of West Georgia, I went there solely with the purpose because I wanted to be exposed to different cultures, because I went to predominantly black schools all my life, and I know the world is not all black, so I just wanted to experience outside of predominantly black schools. So that's why I chose West Georgia, and, you know, and also I chose it because of the location, because it was 1 hour away from home, and I was assuming that when we didn't have races, we can go home on the weekends, but that really was not the case. We had to stay there and do our long runs on Sundays. And so, you know, during my time in college, I mean, it was fun. I remember my team, we qualified for nationals. We're only 5 girls. I don't know if somebody broke the record, but I'm the only female who made the all-conference all 4 years of college. I think another girl was in the running maybe about 3 years ago. I don't know if she got it, but she may be the second person to ever done that, well, female. And the highest I placed in conference was second overall, so I was really happy with that. However, my national, when we qualified for nationals, I didn't really have a great race. But the experience was fun because it was in California, and it was my first time. Yeah, it was my first time on the West Coast, so I really enjoyed that.
Oh, awesome. It's always a wonderful experience where you can go to a different region, and certainly California, never a dull moment there. And I want to stay just with your collegiate experience for a moment. What division is, or should I say, what conference is West Georgia in?
At the time, it was called the Gulf South Conference, and West Georgia is a Division II school.
Okay, I just want to stay just with not only your collegiate experience, but also your high school experience as well. What were the biggest differences going from high school to college track and field?
Yes. Well, actually, for college, I was actually on scholarship for cross country, and at the time, I know now West Georgia has a fully functioning track team, but at that time, we just did track. Like, it wasn't really part of the school, and I wasn't on scholarship. But what I learned is that from high school and college, that you run more miles, the workouts are longer, and then I also learned that it's important to do the summer-based training before you go to school, because you know you'll excel in time trial, and then after that the workouts will be a struggle. Because I remember as a freshman, because I ran summer track, so I did summer track before my freshman year, and I was like, oh, that'll be fine. That'll get me through whatever. I don't know. But unfortunately it didn't. I really struggled with the workouts, but eventually, you know, I learned from my freshman year and my sophomore year. I followed the coach plan, and it was one of my best years, my sophomore year. So what I learned in college, you run more miles. You need to follow the coach plan if you want to be able to complete the workout. And yeah, and the competition is more competitive than high school. Yeah, like I remember in high school, I could win cross-country races or come in the top 5, but, you know, running at Division II, our coach, we always didn't run at Division II meets. Sometimes we would run at Auburn, which is a Division I school, and in a meet like that, a race like that, you can come in like 100th place. So that was a whole new experience for me, but I realized as long as I was improving as a runner, that was a good thing.
Indeed, often there's nothing like that experience and having it, and just, you know, seeing the transformation going from high school to college, and know that it's a completely different animal. And definitely from the sounds of it, you definitely handled it the best way you know how. And I mentioned that when you were at West Georgia, you were a member of the women's cross country and track teams. For some of the listeners out there that may not be familiar with track and field or just running in general, can you explain what the difference is between cross-country racing and track?
Yes. Cross-country is either ran on grass that's typically like a golf course or at a park, or sometimes it's ran on trails. So the surface is very soft, and sometimes it's loops. And then track, everything is ran on a 400 meters. So for me in track, I ran middle distance to long distance. So cross country for women was 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And then in track, you run around in circles. And so, for example, when I first started off in college, I ran the 800. That's 2 laps. And then you have the mile, which is 4 laps. And then you have the 3,000, which is 7.5 laps. So everything on the track is just ran in the circle. And then cross country is kind of scenery. You get to see stuff. You get to see trees. You get to see nature. You get to run on different courses.
Interesting. Thank you for explaining that. And, you know, growing up in Atlanta, I'm just, you know, for our listeners out there, you know, that may have not been to Atlanta, I can tell, and you can say as well, is that the geography of Atlanta is unique because you have Stone Mountain and you also have a city that it's not below sea level. Atlanta is got its parts where it's very hilly and it's got hills, and I mentioned earlier with Stone Mountain. Do you think growing up in Atlanta, did it prepare you to become a runner just in terms of developing stamina, just the way the city is shaped in terms of its geography?
Yes, I believe so, because like you said, we have hills, and hills make you a stronger runner. So, you know, even though initially when I was in college, I didn't like hills, but from running on so many hills as a teenager, because like at my school, we actually had a big old hill outside the school that we would do repeats. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like people always say, the Atlanta hills, they will make you stronger or they will destroy you, either one. But I like the part where it makes you stronger. So I really do think that contributes to making me a stronger runner and making me mentally tough too, because running up a hill is not easy at all.
It is not easy at all, man. When you said running up hills, it makes me think about Jerry Rice when he was playing in the NFL, and that was a workout that he did. Him and Walter Payton, they would run hills, develop their stamina and their conditioning. So definitely that's something that you live by as well. And I want to just stay again with the city of Atlanta for a moment. Not just Atlanta, but just really the South as a whole is known for football. And, you know, football, I hate to use this word describing it, but football is like a religion in the South almost. But I wanted to know what's the track and field scene like, not just in Atlanta, but really in the state of Georgia as a whole?
Oh, I mean, at the time when I was growing up, it wasn't as popular, but then again, I mean, we did have the 1996 Olympics there, so that was really cool. And I remember back in the day when I was in high school, they used to have this one indoor meet at the Georgia Dome. It's no longer the Georgia Dome anymore. And so then eventually they got rid of that meet. So I don't know if it's popular now, but it was never as popular as football. No, not really. But I think maybe it's changing. I'm not quite sure. But I think it's changing. I think track is trying to come up, but I mean, just the sport in general, if you even think of it on a professional level, they're still trying to figure out ways to attract more people to the meet and to watch track. So it's just a problem, not just in the South. It's just a whole United States problem when it comes to track. It's just not that sport that bring in a lot of spectators and people who just watch it, you know. It's just your diehard fans that are really into it. So that's the problem that I'm just trying to figure out.
But yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. I think just in the U.S. as a whole, I think, you know, track and field is looked as more of kind of like one of those sports is just kind of like in the background, but all around the world, I mean, track and field is definitely put on a high pedestal, and we see it with countless competitions. It makes a difference in the prize money as well. So hopefully, you know, things can be done in the future in terms of making track and field really a prominent sport in the United States. And speaking of the world stage, you mentioned about Atlanta in 1996 with the Olympics. Did you have an opportunity to experience that, or did you just happen to watch on television and just get moved by that?
Yeah, I just had the opportunity to watch on television. However, I did work at the volleyball game, so I was able to see some of that in person. But as far as the track races, I watched all of those on TV.
Cool. And, I just kind of want to talk now about, so we've touched on basis your beginning, and then we touched on middle school, and then, of course, you getting into running in high school and college. And, I want to talk now about the benefits of running. Just in your opinion, Shawanna, what are the benefits that you gain from running?
Yeah, for me, the benefits of running, it puts me in a good mood. I mean, it gives me energy. It keeps me healthy. I mean, I think, I'm a physical education teacher, and just being around kids all the time, I am probably one of the teachers who, I'm really not out for being sick, like with a cold or anything. Like, I can't remember the last time I had a cold, honestly. So I think it helps to keep me healthy. It also helped me to, meet new people. That's another benefit of running. And just being able to see new places and just being able to explore by feet. I really enjoy just being outside. So, running, I don't know, it's so peaceful. And then sometimes you experience that runner high. That's a great feeling. So, I mean, it keeps me healthy, keeps me happy, and it allowed me to meet people.
Absolutely, man. And you touched on some key elements, being healthy and being happy, man, because what good is having wealth, man, if you're not healthy and you're not happy, man. Those are definitely the most important things with running, and like you said, meeting new people. You mentioned something about also another benefit was being outside. This kind of segues back to what we were talking about, your days of running in high school and in college. Again, not just being from Atlanta, but being from the South, do you think dealing with the heat and humidity of Georgia, do you think that made you a better runner?
Hey, yeah, because I'm probably I'm probably, I don't know, too many people who enjoy the heat and humidity. Like, I actually can thrive in the heat and humidity. I mean, one of my fastest marathon times were ran when it was hot and humid in Birmingham, Alabama. So, I'm pretty resilient when running in heat and humidity. As long as I, stay hydrated, I'm good to go.
Awesome. That's very important, man. You got that hydration is definitely important. And I want to move along now to just the different types of races that are involved in running. You mentioned about your time running when you were in high school and in college that you ran middle distance, and I had you explain about the difference between cross country and regular track races. But in running, we've got a lot of different races, like there's a 5K, marathon, half marathon, and so on and so forth. Can you explain to the listeners the different types of races that are out there and how many miles are involved in them?
Yes. When I first, after college, I primarily ran the 5K. That was my favorite race. And a 5K is 3.1 miles. And then eventually I tried the 10K, which is just basically 2 5Ks, which is 2.2 miles. And then after that, I got the urge to try a half marathon, and that's 13.1 miles. And then eventually I joined the people who I consider crazy, the people who like to run to another city, and that is a marathon, and a marathon is 26.2 miles. And then you also have some distances that they like to call off distances, and they're not really ran as much as the 5K, marathon, 10K. And those distances are a 15K, which is 9.3 miles, and that's really to me, that's a really fun distance to run because it's not quite a half, you know, and that's really fun. And then another one you can run from time to time, which is basically a 5 miles, and that's what it is. It's self-explanatory. It's 5 miles. And then let's see, what other race have I ran? I ran an 8K, and that's like 4.8 something. It's almost 5 miles. So those are the common distances, or some of the races that one can run.
You know, I wanted to tell you that I ran 5K, and I know one of my best friends, he runs half marathons and he does 10Ks and stuff like that. He was telling me, hey, Ed, you got to do it. You got to try it. You got to try it. And I did the first one, and, man, I just loved it, man. I've been hooked ever since, man. It's a lot of fun. So all the people that's listening out there, if you haven't had an opportunity to take part in a marathon, I strongly recommend you try it, because no matter your level, like Shawanna was explaining to everybody, you know, 5K, 10K, full marathon, or whatever race, you know, that's what you're comfortable doing, that is definitely a lot of fun. And I want to stay just with the type of races for a moment. Is your approach to training for these type of races, do you approach it as you would have when you were training maybe in high school and college, or is it a little bit different now that you have a busy work schedule?
Yeah, and it's a little different based on not just the work schedule, but also as I age as a runner, you know, because originally when I started back running, because after college I did take a little short break, but when I was in my 20s, I started in my 30s. When I started back running, like my late 20s, early 30s, I would do 2 workouts in a week plus a long run, or 2 workouts in a week and a race and a long run. However, now as an older athlete, as a master's, that's 40 and up, I typically only do 1 hard workout a week, and then the rest is easy runs. And then I'll do 1 workout in a week, like say on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I may race. And versus when I was younger, I would do two workouts and race. So that's like 3 hard sessions. And now I'm only doing 2 hard sessions, you know, if I have a race or not, because I'll do 1 workout in the middle of the week, and then if I don't have a race, I'll do a workout on Saturday or Sunday. So instead of doing like 3 workouts, 3 hard sessions in a week, sometimes I only do like 1 to 2, depending on how my body feels. But I'm still running more miles than what I ran in college, because I thrive off of miles. And just the way I have my things set up, if I try to do 3 hard sessions, I'll probably get injured more. And that's the only difference from college and 20s and now.
Okay, cool. I wanted to stay kind of like you mentioned about not doing as many hard workouts when you're preparing for these races due to age. But is this also due to any injuries that you suffered in your career, or is it just based on your age and just handling what you can handle for this time in your career?
Yeah, it's a combination of both, from injuries and age. You know, I just found I did work with a coach, and we just found as I got older and, you know, due to injuries, that I'm able to thrive off of just 1 to 2 hard sessions a week. So, yeah, it's a little bit of both.
I just want to stay just with your training. I know with training, and you mentioned being a master's athlete, and with you having injuries, people talk about the nutrition side of things, but just being an athlete, whether you're professional or just one of those weekend warriors, it's all about recovery. So how do you recover? Well, what I should say is this: how do you get your muscles to relax before a race and then after a race? Are they different? You do maybe with acupuncture or a deep tissue massage to try to get your muscles rejuvenated?
Yeah, so, you know, for me, this is my recovery thing. I get a massage every two weeks. I go to the chiropractor typically every 2 weeks, Sometimes I may go every week if I'm experiencing some like niggles. And what else did I do for recovery besides massage every 2 weeks? I also have recovery boots that I try to use at least 3 times a week. And then, before running, I do a dynamic warm-up that deals with different type of drills, some leg swings, all that good stuff. And then after running, I try to stretch a little bit before I get in my car or go home. And then if I don't, I'll do some yoga when I get home as well. So, yeah, that's basically what I do. I never tried acupuncture. I heard good things about it, but I've done dry needling. That's the only when I had an injury. But the things that I do to try to stay not injured is just massage and chiropractic and recovery boots and foam roll.
You said something interesting. You say you do a lot of stretching, and I think people overlook the power of stretching, man. Stretching keeps your muscles real flexible and keeps them very loose, man. I think people just neglect stretching so much, man. It's nice to hear somebody not neglect stretching, ladies and gentlemen. And, when you mentioned about the recovery and the performance of what you do, but also nutrition. Nutrition is definitely a very vital part of all of this. Do you have like a meal plan that you follow, or any type of nutrition plan that you follow in terms of like your proteins or carbohydrates, or you just kind of just give yourself wiggle room?
Yeah, no, I don't really have a set plan, but I just make sure I get the basic nutrients, which you just mentioned, proteins, carbs, fat. I just make sure I get a good amount of those every single day. I mean, and especially like, say for example, if I do a hard session, I make sure I drink like a protein shake right immediately afterwards, or even after all my runs, even if it's hard or easy, I'm always eating something right after the run, whether it's like a banana or oranges, just getting something back in that body just to start the recovery process, because, nutrition does help with recovery as well, because if you're not fueling properly, then your muscles can get sore. So no set plan. But, I mean, the only thing that I do that is, it's not a set plan, is that, what year was that? This is 2023. So, like, in 2021, my friend had challenged me to 28 days plant-based, and I never, ever been plant-based in my life. And so, I'm a very competitive person, and plus when somebody called me out on Facebook, I got to rise up to the challenge. So I did that for 28 days, and I really enjoyed how my body felt. Like, I felt like I had more energy. So that's the only thing that I do different now, is that I am a plant-based runner. I guess that's what they like to call it. But, yeah.
Well, I've heard, there's so many benefits in coming to plant-based, like you mentioned, with more energy and things of that nature. Were you able to think better? Because I know a lot of people say when they've gone plant-based, they don't have the brain fog and things of that nature. Were you able to think more clearly when you were doing the 28-day challenge being plant-based?
Yeah. I could able to think clearly, have more energy. Like, one big thing with me, like, what happened to me after I eat lunch, I'll start getting lethargic and tired and like, I'm ready to take a nap, not ready to go back and teach. But, after being plant-based, I have a lot of energy and, so it's beneficial for me. I mean, I know it doesn't work for everybody, but, you just got to find out what works for you.
Absolutely. You said the key words. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, so you said it best. Do whatever works for you. And I want to stay just kind of like with what we've touched on, performance, recovery, and nutrition. And do you take vitamins or supplements to just kind of get more reinforcement for your body, whether it be like maybe a vitamin C or like a krill oil or fish oil or something like that?
I actually take Prevenance supplements. So I take the multivitamin, I take a probiotic, and I take the joint health supplement, and I also take vitamin D. And sometimes I drink magnesium at night.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, man. For those of you that don't know about magnesium, it works wonders, man. It's good for the brain and the blood pressure, and how you highly recommend you take your magnesium. And I want to move along now to black women getting more involved in the sport of running. We've seen just within the last decade and a half, we've seen more and more black women get involved in the sport of running. We've seen Black Girls Run do their thing. We've seen more organizations similar to Black Girls Run get involved and spread the word about getting involved in this wonderful activity. What message or words of encouragement or inspiration that you have for more black women that want to get involved in the sport of running?
I would just simply say that, like I stated earlier, there's so many health benefits from running. That's one reason that you should give it a try. And then also with the community, you're going to meet new people. You're going to have run buddies that you can go running with, and also it can help you to see the world if you decide to run races, because there's different races in different states. So, it just opened up so many opportunities, and running is something that everybody can do. Like, you don't have to be a professional athlete. All you need is just a pair of shoes. So I would just say give it a try. And, the best thing to do is to try to join a group. You check and see if you have Black Girl Run, if you have any other local run groups. But, yeah, I love running, and I think if you give it a try, it will just help you to live a healthier life and just make you feel good.
Awesome. And I want to talk now just about the importance of health and fitness in minority communities. You are as you mentioned earlier, you are a physical education teacher, so you're definitely all about making sure of improving the health and fitness of the young minds that you teach. But how important is health and fitness in communities of color?
It's very important. It's really good now with, I think it's getting better, like with groups like Black Girls Run and Black Men Run. You see more people out there exercising, more people running, because, as Black or African Americans, we have the highest rate for heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. And just by running and just moving your body, you can help prevent some of those diseases. Even if you aren't eating as healthy, but if you're moving your body, you're going to decrease your chances of getting those deadly diseases. I think I answered your question. I don't know. I just went on a tangent. But, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, sure. No problem. Well, thank you for answering that. And I want to segue now into food deserts. And you mentioned about how you've adopted a plant-based diet and the wonders that it did for you, giving you plenty of energy and you didn't have brain fog. And food deserts are a problem in a lot of communities all around the world. We have, for those of you that don't know, food deserts are basically a lack of access to high-quality foods, fruits and vegetables, high-quality produce, and things of that nature. In your opinion, how do you tackle the problem of food deserts in our community?
That's a good question. I work in a rural school, so I know we have different programs, because I guess where I work, that could be considered a place where it's like a food desert. But like in the school system, we have different programs that come in and like have kids to be able to try different fruits and vegetables that they normally wouldn't be able to have access to because of, what is supplied in the grocery store. But I don't know if that's going to help the problem. I just know in my school they have different things where kids have a chance to try new fruits and vegetables.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for answering. And thank you again, Shawanna. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. Just tell everybody where they can find you on social media and any websites. Let them know that as well.
The best place to find me is on Instagram at peachrunner26.2.
Awesome. And you heard it from her. She is Shawanna White. Before I let you go, Shawanna, you being an Atlanta native, we've seen that the Atlanta Marathon has become big for quite some time. It's a United States track and field sanctioned event. Give me your thoughts on the Atlanta Marathon.
I mean, I think it's really awesome. Like Atlanta, the sport of running in Atlanta is really, I mean, what Atlanta Track Club is doing to try to bring more opportunity for different types of races in Atlanta is really great. And by just having that race as a sanctioned event, you're probably going to get in more professional runners, and I think that's what they're trying to do. I heard that course is very hilly, but I'm really, as you stated, I'm an ambassador for running, and I just love to be in the running environment and just seeing races even when I'm not racing myself.
Shawanna, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.